Hello guys and welcome back to our channel. I welcome you to a disturbing trend which has emerged on social media with some Latino Hispanic individuals calling on black people, particularly black women, to save them from ICE raids. The implication is clear. Black people are somehow responsible for the plight of immigrants, but this narrative is not only flawed, it's also steeped in irony. As one sister aptly pointed out, many of these same individuals voted for the very administration that's now terrorizing their communities. Another sister bluntly stated that black women are off duty, highlighting the exhaustion and frustration that comes with being expected to carry the weight of others' struggles. Now, this phenomenon raises critical questions about solidarity, accountability, and the complexities of intersectional politics. Who gets to demand empathy and support from black people, and why? So with that said, let's take a look at these different videos as my fellow black brothers and sisters react. I will be right back.
The next apology I wanted to make is to the black community. I'm really sorry, truly. I wasn't trying to bring hate or negativity to your community at all. I'm just the type of person who likes to shed light on things that I think are very unfair. But it has been brought to my attention that I'm focusing way too much on those negative comments and those hateful messages than on the group of black people who are actually being supportive, who are actually willing to fight with us and fight for us, and who are very kind and very empathetic. And I'm very grateful. It was just such an overwhelming amount of hate messages and hate comments that seriously, I didn't even understand, because the video was specifically me just saying thank you to the black community. That's all I was saying. All I was saying was thank you, that I acknowledged them. You can always go and watch it. So that's what I don't understand, is how this became a war or like a fight. You know what I mean? Because of course, naturally, I'm going to want to defend myself when a black person is saying that they're going to call ICE on my people, specifically when I'm speaking about schools being raided by ICE, where they're taking our children and they're using them as leverage so that when parents come and pick them up, they get deported. So I wanted to shed light on the idea that, hey, you know what? This is such a large amount of black people who are threatening to call ICE. I just wanted my people to beware, because I'm like, this is like something that I did not know was going on. I did not know black people hated us so much. But again, I'm not going to generalize the whole black community just based off of those experiences, because there are those who are very positive, who are willing to fight with us as well as we are. And so I'm just going to shift my mentality to focusing on the positive, because truly, like, that's really affecting my mental health. It's made me so sad. It's really so sad, because we're honestly like not all the same, you know, like they're saying that all Mexicans are the same. So they want to treat all Mexicans the same. So they want to like make sure all Mexicans suffer. They want to make sure that all Mexicans, like basically like get deported. So that's what's sad, because it's like they're generalizing all of us when they don't know that immigrants can't even vote. And also me, like, I never did anything to the black community in a negative way. So like, I'm just like completely like, like I got to shed light on this, but also I want to be mentally sane, because it's very painful, very hurtful what's happening. But then I also want to make sure that the black community is not having all that negative light on them. And so I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for all of you who are being really supportive and very loving and compassionate. Empathy, you're my kind of people. But yeah, I mean, if you are like I said, very hateful and evil, I love you, but from afar. Truthfully, from afar. I will not respond to you anymore. I will not interact with you anymore. That's just not what I want to bring into my life.
And now they help to oppress us. Now they help to dehumanize us. Now they benefit off of the hatred of us. And because they enjoy benefiting off of it more than they enjoy unifying with us, they contribute to the hatred of us. So it's very strange and actually a little kind of sick that you are aware of this history. And I'm sure many others are aware of this history, where you are now claiming to have gone through the same things as us. Oh, now you were right with the gym. But this entire time you've been acting like you're better than us, like you're more superior than us. like you didn't want to touch us with a 10-foot pole. We share the same struggle, but we don't share the same societal narrative or skin colors. So I guess that makes you better than us. And despite your contribution to our hatred, we're supposed to help you. And it's gonna have to be a no from me.
And another thing, Hispanics, y'all keep bringing up how the presidency was when Trump was in office. The last time I recall, he was separating parents from children at the border and putting kids in cages. That's what I remember from his last presidency for y'all. He has never been for y'all, ever. He literally was trying to get y'all to build up a wall on the border to keep y'all out. And y'all still marched down there 60% and voted for him. You have got to be dumb.
Yeah, I know for a fact my For You page is broken because why do I keep seeing these Mexican ladies across my For You page saying that black people are being missed if they don't help when it comes to this ICE raid situation, and how cruel it is for us not to help them, especially when there's kids involved, and how we as black people, especially black women, I don't even know how we got in a conversation, but we're like evil or something. Like,
not the Latinos for Trump starting to feel what black people felt when it was stop and frisk for us. Now y'all getting stopped, frisked, harassed. But wasn't this y'all?
Raise your hands, come on! Raise your hands!
While that lady made that video talking about she regret the fact she voted for Trump, ma'am, it's only been 5 days. What do you want from us? During those Project 25 conversations, what you was doing? That man was never for you, baby. That man was for your vote, just like you was for that stimulus check that you thought that you was going to receive. Meanwhile, the stimulus turned into deportation. A follow-up video didn't even help y'all because she literally was making it seem as if like if it was not happening to Latinas, then she would have been perfectly fine. So being that your people is now at stake, now it's like we're all devastated and now it's supposed to be a we. Who's the we? Because you never thought that you was with us. You thought that you was a part of the them. It's a part of the palm-colored community. And he's not for you and proves that he's not for you. Now you shook it to your core and you don't want to go to work? How was that a we problem? I don't speak French, baby. I'm from New York. This is record time for the amount of Trumpers that are saying that they regret their decision. And then, of course, she had to try to slide in there how Kamala wouldn't have been no better. Baby, Kamala would have made sure that you could leave the block peacefully. Headphones on and all that. Please don't come on this internet talking about that you regret your decision, because what are we supposed to do now?
Also, last thing. So I'm seeing all this stuff on TikTok, on social media about these Latina women that are literally in a panic because they're like, oh my God, I didn't know that 45 was going to do all the things that he said he's going to do. Now, here's the thing. I can empathize with you, but the reality of it is the statistics are telling me differently, right? So y'all went into the voting booth and said, Uno reverse, draw 4, error, and y'all remixed the whole thing, right? So that's not what we practice, sis. We said one band, one sound. And y'all went in there and hit the remix. Y'all literally voted for the Antichrist. And you want all of this empathy. Now, I pray that your abuela is okay. I truly do. But I don't know, sis. We off duty. Most black women are like, we are off duty. I don't know. And I'm not even saying that in a negative space. Like,
before I even go any further, I just want to say that it's really astonishing how black women in particular are always expected to be the problem solvers, the fixers, and the saviors. The notion that black women should bear the responsibility of rectifying the mess created by others is not only unfair, but also exhausting. Like, it's really exhausting, guys. This phenomenon is a classic example of the fixer mentality, where individuals feel compelled to rescue others, often at the expense of their own well-being. Now, the irony is stark. Those who actively supported and voted for the current administration, which has implemented policies like ICE raids, now expect black people to bail them out. It's a stark reminder that the consequences of one's actions should not be shifted onto others. As one insightful comment pointed out, you turned out for him. So how is ICE coming for you now a we problem? How is this a we problem even? I feel this is not about assigning blame, but rather about highlighting the disproportionate burden placed on Black women. It's really important to recognize that the role of Black women is not that of a default problem solver. Black women too deserve to have their own needs and concerns addressed. The fixer mentality is often rooted in a deep-seated need for control, validation, or a sense of purpose. Just a few years ago, if any political analyst or pundit had predicted that a US presidential candidate would gain a larger share of the Latino vote by promising to shut down the border, slam the door on migrants, deport millions of people, and even deny citizenship to babies born to immigrants, they would have been politely called misinformed or plainly insane. As has been widely reported, Donald Trump achieved precisely that in November. And now in his first week back in the Oval Office, he's rolling out policies to achieve those goals. Undoubtedly, the main issue that drew Hispanics to Trump was the economy. Like many other voters, they longed for a solution to higher prices, and they looked back positively at the state of the economy during his first term before the pandemic crash. But despite his tough stance on immigration and enforcement, he seemed to get even more Hispanic support this time around, with 46% of the vote in 2024 compared with 32% in 2020 and 28% in 2016. Now, in other recent elections, Latino voters tended to support Democrats in much larger numbers, except for George W. Bush's win in 2004. Traditionally, Republican Latinos, particularly in Florida and Texas, have favored legislation to address the issue of the approximately 11 million people who are in the U.S. unlawfully, with 53% saying they should be allowed to remain after paying a fine. For the most part, Hispanic Republican members of Congress from Florida, Texas, California, and other states fully backed, alongside Democrats' legislative efforts for comprehensive immigration reform. National origin political divisions and even racism have always played a part in how U.S. Latinos feel about immigration. Just like in other nations that experience big migration waves, those who made their way legally sometimes end up resenting those who didn't. Now, there has been a clear demographic shift on who makes up the waves of migrants arriving at the U.S. southern border until about a decade ago. Those migrants used to be overwhelmingly Mexican. In 2014, however, the Obama administration faced a crisis when hundreds of thousands of Central Americans, many of them unaccompanied minors, showed up at the border with Mexico asking for asylum. As a result, we saw for the first time many of the familiar images of migrants in cage-type immigration facilities. We saw this again in 2018 when the Trump administration faced a new wave of migrant caravans, leading to his infamous policy of family separation. Now, the Biden administration was blamed by voters for not being able to fully solve the issue of hundreds of thousands of migrants at the U.S. southern border. Even more, his administration saw the largest surge of immigrants in U.S. history. Net migration, the number of people entering the country minus the number of people leaving, averaged 2.4 million people per year from 2021 to 2023. Now, the total net migration for Biden's term is expected to exceed 8 million once data for 2024 is available. Only at the very end did the Biden administration resort to executive actions aimed at restricting asylum. Now, in the eyes of many voters, including Latinos in immigrant-friendly South Florida and South Texas, Biden's policies largely failed to stem the tide and change the image of an unsolved border crisis. While it is true that the Republican governors of Texas and Florida exploited the issue by busing and flying large numbers of migrants to cities like Chicago, Washington, D.C., and New York, creating problems there, the political damage was done. Now, coming back to these Hispanic ladies who are now calling out Black people for not helping with the ICE raids, labeling Black people as R to the cis if they don't comply, I think we need to flip the script just a little bit. Is it fair to say that these same Hispanics were being R to the cis or anti-Black when they voted against their own interest in the first place? I feel it's important to acknowledge the complex history of Latino anti-Black bias, which has been perpetuated through various forms of discrimination from workplace inequality to police brutality. Now, this bias is often rooted in the cultural notion which situates anti-Blackness as a North American construct learned only once in the United States. Moreover, research has shown that implicit racial bias is a pervasive issue, with palm-colored people consistently demonstrating high levels of bias against Black and people of color. While Hispanics may not exhibit the same level of implicit bias as palm-colored people, it's important to recognize that they can still perpetuate anti-Black attitudes and behaviors. So when Hispanics cry foul and accuse Black people of altruism for not supporting them, it's really hard not to see the hypocrisy. Where was this sense of urgency and outrage when they were voting against policies that would benefit both their own communities and Black people? It's time for a reality check. Black people can't be expected to constantly bail out other communities without acknowledging the historical and systemic issues that have led to these problems. You know, just like a sister has already said or put it, this issue at hand doesn't seem like a we problem, but rather a you problem. This distinction is very crucial because it highlights the urgency and responsibility that comes with making choices. Those who actively supported and voted for the current administration despite its divisive rhetoric and policies are now facing the consequences of their decision. It's almost as if they are surprised that the very policies they endorsed are now affecting them. The sister's statement echoes a fundamental question. What's wrong now? Didn't they want this? Didn't they vote for this? The disconnect between their past actions and current expectations is really staggering. I just can't understand. We have finally come to the end of the video, but what do you, our viewers, have to say? Share your thoughts, your views, your contributions as well in the comment section, and let's have a conversation there. Thank you for always watching, and see you in our next video as we bring you another interesting video.